time is running out. The order must be executed. But Anakin is not here. There must be another way. Yes.
The Republic have found new information that points to the planet Utapau as being the hiding place of the separatists, and together with them is without a doubt General Grievous. Everyone is in agreement that this opportunity must be seized and capture the separatists together with General Grievous in an attempt to end the war. It is at this time that Yoda senses the frustration in Anakin with the Jedi Council. He is obviously eager to show the Council that he is indeed ready to become a master in his own right, and that he is worthy of his position he holds on the Jedi Council. Yoda then proceeds in discussing the mission with Obi-Wan and Mace Windu, ultimately deciding that this would be Anakin's final test to show his greatness by capturing the separatists and General Grievous. In a way, Obi-Wan is glad to see Anakin go on this mission and finally prove himself, because deep inside he wants Anakin to achieve the rank of master and finally end the rivalry they've been having all these years. It will be good for Anakin to think of us as equals, thinks Obi-Wan in his mind. They say their goodbyes and Anakin leaves for Utapau, with Obi-Wan wishing him the best of luck. It is at this time that the Chancellor is worried. His plan was to make Anakin his apprentice all along. Since Anakin is not here anymore and the need to execute Order 66 is nearing, he starts panicking. As his plan could fail, the war will end and he will be stripped of the emergency powers that were given to him. Eventually, evil finds a way, and that's what he did, quickly changing his plan but only the smaller details, replacing one pawn with another. The first part of the plan was to fake an assassination attempt on his life. Palpatine made it look like he barely survived, but all this trouble would not be in vain. It had a very sinister goal to achieve. After the news broke out and all the drama with it, it was made so that it would be a time of panic. This is the moment the Chancellor was waiting for. He summoned Obi-Wan to join him, telling him that he had something very important he needed to discuss with him privately. Obi-Wan became aware shortly about the invitation and of course informed the Council of the Chancellor's invitation, since they are all spying on Palpatine, of course, because they are suspicious. Obi-Wan had finally arrived, and upon entering, the guards informed him that before entering he must hand over all of the weapons that he carried with him, a direct order from Chancellor Palpatine as a precautionary measure. Obi-Wan handed them his lightsaber and proceeded. When Palpatine saw Obi-Wan entering, he stood up, greeting him and looking like he was relieved, telling the guards to leave them. After the dismissal of the guards, Palpatine continued by starting the conversation in a way to persuade Obi-Wan to join him, telling him that the Jedi are holding him back and that his potential and intelligence is much higher than the Council gives him credit for. He eventually came around to asking the ultimate question: will Obi-Wan join him and become his apprentice? Obi-Wan immediately came to a state of shock, realizing that Palpatine was the Sith they had been searching for this whole time. Before he could even launch a force attack, Palpatine sensed his defiance as he launched a lightning attack on Obi-Wan, knowing full well that he was defenseless without his lightsaber. Obi-Wan continued to defy Palpatine, but it was to no avail, as Palpatine was a master at torturing you until submission. We clearly see his persuasive powers being used in Clone Wars with Darth Maul, and even with Galen from Force Unleashed, as he bended his will by torturing him until he was submissive and became Lord Starkiller. And this is what happens to Obi-Wan, unfortunately. Palpatine brought him to the brink of death so many times that finally Obi-Wan could not defy him anymore. He became the apprentice of Darth Sidious, and from that point on, he was called Lord Kenobi. Since Palpatine's plan was going well so far, he then gave a message to General Grievous informing him that the Republic have found the hiding place in Utapau and that he should evacuate the separatist leaders to Mustafar. In the midst of all this, Palpatine was not aware that Obi-Wan informed the Council prior to his visit, and after days of Obi-Wan not returning back to the Jedi Temple, All the doubts that the Jedi had were all but confirmed. Yoda and Mace Windu came to an agreement that they would confront the Chancellor in person and question him about Obi-Wan's disappearance, since he was the last person to see him before he disappeared. The Jedi arrived at the offices of the Chancellor, making a spontaneous appearance so that the Chancellor would be caught off guard. Yoda, Mace Windu, and Kit Fisto appeared in front of the Chancellor, proceeding to question him about Obi-Wan. The Chancellor acted shocked that they implied an accusation of such nature and said that he did talk with Obi-Wan, but he left and that he had not seen him since. But when the Jedi asked him why did he then dismiss the guards when he met with Obi-Wan, this is when the Chancellor stopped talking and just smirked at the Jedi, realizing that the Jedi had done an investigation on everybody's whereabouts that night, including the guards. The Jedi ignited their lightsabers and told the Chancellor that he was under arrest for kidnapping a Jedi Master, including a Jedi Council member. With Palpatine smirking and his anger showing, he continued by saying,
"It's treason, then."
In a flash, he ignited his red lightsaber and lunged towards the Jedi with full anger flowing through him. Kit Fisto took the first blow and his lightsaber hit the floor. Battling both Yoda and Windu at the same time, it looked like Palpatine was cornered. While the Jedi were confident that they had him, Palpatine started laughing to the confusion of the Jedi as Palpatine told them to meet his new apprentice. Both Jedi were shocked to see that the apprentice Palpatine was referring to was Kenobi. Lord Kenobi ignited his lightsaber and attacked Mace Windu. They both started dueling, with Yoda and Palpatine dueling as well. In the end though, Lord Kenobi's tactics were unmatched, and combined with his anger, Mace Windu was struck down by Kenobi, leaving Yoda to fend for himself. The problem was that time was running out for the Chancellor. He ordered Lord Kenobi to go to Mustafar and take care of their separatist problem once and for all, telling him to leave Yoda to him as he would get rid of this little creature easily. As Kenobi left, both of them continued their fierce duel. Palpatine started to realize that he had made a mistake sending Kenobi off and letting him fight Yoda alone. Yoda fought like he had never fought before. Seeing both Windu and Fisto dead gave the edge he needed to bring his skills to the peak of their abilities. In what was a shocking turn of events for Palpatine, and something he never expected, he died at the hands of Master Yoda, who eventually bested him in a gruesome fight, and with that the plan to execute Order 66 was dead. Meanwhile, Anakin arrived at Utapau, quickly finding out where General Grievous is hiding and ordering his clone army that followed him there to attack. In the midst of battle, Anakin finally confronted Grievous. With Grievous being overconfident, it was those opportunities that Anakin relished the most, being considered an underdog. Anakin was relentless against the general, and it took no time for Grievous to realize that he was going to lose this duel. He attempted to escape from the young Jedi, not knowing that Anakin had been anticipating his cowardly nature. Before he battled Grievous, he specifically ordered a special unit to find a hiding place, and should Grievous attempt to escape from him, that is when they should attack. And that is exactly what they did in this case, bombing him until his arms and legs were incapacitated as Anakin approached him and finally finished him off, thinking that finally the war was over. When he returned to Coruscant, he heard the news about his fallen master from Yoda. He was in disbelief and came to be thankful that it wasn't him that fell into the trap of Palpatine. Yoda warned Anakin that Kenobi was now even more powerful and that they should proceed with caution. They came to an agreement that they would both face Kenobi in Mustafar in trying to bring him back to the light, as deep down they knew that he still had good in him. Things in Mustafar, on the other hand, were not going as the separatist leaders planned, with Kenobi killing them one by one. He was worried though, as he could not reach his master to inform him. It is at this time that Yoda and Anakin arrive, with Kenobi screaming at them that they weren't there for him when he needed them, and that they should not be here now. Anakin tries to calm down Lord Kenobi, and tells him that the Chancellor is dead. Kenobi smiles and says to him, "Good, more for me." Igniting his lightsaber, he speeds towards both of them, and with his anger fueling him, he is determined to kill them both. The duel duel rages on and Kenobi has no more fight left, but he is still undeterred and ready for a final stance with the Jedi. As he props his lightsaber and gets ready to attack for a final time, he hears a voice.
Obi-Wan.
Master Qui-Gon.
At that moment, Obi-Wan comes back to his senses and realizes how far he has gone and how much he has let down his fellow Jedi. He turns off his lightsaber and drops to his knees, his eyes filled with tears and regret. As is the nature of the Jedi, Yoda and Anakin turn their lightsabers off as well, and upon seeing Obi-Wan in that horrible state, they embrace him and let him know that he is forgiven. It was at this time that Obi-Wan finally came out and Lord Kenobi had disappeared forever. Of course, the story is never ending. As you can imagine, the Republic elected a new Chancellor and the Jedi Temple was still at the center of Coruscant. Anakin continued his life with Padme as they had twins, and the Jedi, well, they were just relieved that the Sith were no more and that their last enemy was destroyed. Or so they thought.
So the Sith are gone. How tragic. Well, I guess it's the Jedi's turn.